Thank you for all joining me at the South County EDC annual elected officials forum. We, of course, are doing it very different this year, but we're very pleased to have as our first distinguished guest this afternoon, Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez. As you know, because I just told you, she's a graduate of Stanford University and has a master's degree from Georgetown and a law degree from UCLA. Her father emigrated from Mexico and initially worked in the strawberry fields in North County, and her mother worked as a nurse. Assemblywoman Gonzalez was first elected to the legislature in 2013 and quickly distinguished herself as a champion for the working and middle class. Her list of legislative accomplishments are too numerous to list this afternoon. Some include the historic legislation in 2014 that allowed 6.5 million Californians to earn paid sick leave, and the passage of California's new Motor Voter Act allowing the automatic voter registration. Lorena is the first Latina in California history to chair the Assembly's Appropriations Committee and is chairwoman of the Select Committee on Women in the Workplace. She also served as chair of the Latina Caucus from 2018 to 2020. The Atlantic Monthly magazine has labeled Lorena the California Democrat setting the national agenda. Indeed, for those who have followed her career, she is a force to be reckoned with for some time to come. Thank you, Lorena, for joining our group.
Thank you, John, and thank you to everybody who's making the time. I don't know, sometimes I'm amazed anyone will even get on a Zoom anymore. So it's always a pleasure to come before South County EDC. Of course, it doesn't usually look like this, but it is 2020. I think we're learning to all deal with the changes, which are numerous. Nothing quite looks the same. And in all reality, our legislative session really didn't look the same this year. And so we finished up spending a year, I think starting a year last year with a lot of hopes and dreams to get a lot of stuff accomplished. A couple key things for the South Bay in particular. And unfortunately, a lot of that got kind of cut back because the legislative session was not a normal one and we were not able to get all of our bills through. That's okay though, because it leads us with a lot of work to do this year. But there are a couple things we're going to continue to work on that might be of interest to some of the folks on this call, things that are really, I don't want to say small. Oh, there's my good friend, Mary Salas. Then she turned off her camera. Saw her for a minute. One of which was working with Mary Salas with Chula Vista and MTS and trying to get some changes made to the surplus land law that we're going to reintroduce hopefully in some budget language coming up so that we can get it even quicker and not have to wait the whole year, but that way we can move forward with the development in Chula Vista. The other thing is slightly minute as well, but an issue we've been dealing with in San Ysidro for a while now with the electric bikes that are in the pedicabs. And just a small variation of the definition that should be obvious in the law. I'm really hopeful I can get into omnibus bill and get it through so that when we get back to normal and the pedicabs get back to normal, they can use electric bikes to go over the bridge, which we all know would help transport people a lot quicker. So some small things, but important things for local businesses in the South Bay. We've also continued, obviously my focus has always been on worker issues. I came out of labor movement. We did a bill this year on wage theft accountability. A lot of folks don't realize that when businesses are actually adjudicated as committing wage theft, in other words, they didn't pay their employees, a common thing that's done is they simply shut down their business and start a new one. And there's no way of stopping this. So the employee is never made whole and a business continues to be a bad actor. We worked closely with the California Chamber of Commerce. This was originally on their job killer list, but we worked closely to get the language just right so that they ended up being neutral because as we agreed, even business organizations don't want bad actors. So was happy we were able to work through that and actually get them to a neutral position. We expanded a bill on a pilot program that we had that provides capital to underserved communities like mine for people who are unbanked and often don't have a credit score. And the unique thing about this this pilot program is it has a cap of 36%. So although that's a lot for a loan, it is actually considered reasonable kind of in this space, especially for folks who are unbanked and don't have a credit history, allows them to grow a credit history and provide just enough money. We actually expanded the amount that could be provided so people could pay for funerals. These were what we're hearing in the community. Starting a very, very small micro business, you know, maybe buying, in fact, we had somebody testify where they needed additional capital to buy a lot of material in order to make quinceañera dresses, which makes sense, right? You have a skill, you want to develop it. It's not something you can walk into the bank, especially if you're, you know, don't have a credit history and say, I need to get some money in order to buy fabric. But how important that is, that accessibility to be able to have a loan that you can pay off in a timely manner that's not overwhelming. So we did that, Bill, as well. We did something that was important in my community, and that's what we realized during the pandemic, that there were some students who just dropped out, and we all heard it, right? A lot of students went back to Mexico with their families. They had to start working. And so what we did is a bill that said, if you were a senior in high school and you were on track to graduate as of March, I think it was 13th or 17th when everything shut down, that you could still get your high school diploma. Because what we didn't want is kids who have spent 12 years in school, done all the right things, and then this chaotic thing comes along, many without access to the internet to do the distance learning, and them not to have the availability to actually have a high school diploma. We modeled it after a legislative effort we had done previously to allow dreamers that are deported to also get their high school diploma if the deportation happens their senior year. We just want to, you know, normalize what is a tough time and ensure that people have all the opportunities that they can. We did I think it's a fun bill. It's going to be interesting. It came to us by the Restaurant Association. And if you know my history, it's not like I'm the legislator that the Restaurant Association usually goes to for these things. But I was really excited that they came to us to talk about this because it was an issue with so many of our small restaurants in the South Bay. And this came from a fact that some of the delivery apps were listing their menus without telling them. And so sometimes they were getting too many orders that they didn't have the staff to fulfill. They didn't realize what was happening. They didn't know why why all of a sudden they were getting all these orders at the same time. A delivery app like DoorDash had put it out there, maybe put a discount out without the understanding of the restaurant. So this bill just requires that there be a written confirmation between the restaurant and the delivery apps before they're able to advertise their business as deliverable. Seems like a small thing, but it was really important to the restaurants. In order to just manage the relationship with their own customers, we had some really weird horror stories about people's Yelp scores going way down because people had tried to order. They don't know it's the delivery company that's in the wrong. They blame it on the restaurant. They get cold food. They get the wrong food. They ordered something that was on a menu and it's no longer on the menu, you name it. So we fixed that as of January 1. There now has to be an agreement in place, and that empowers our small restaurants to be able to have some equity in that. So we did all of that, and we continue to work in our community. Obviously, we've been, hopefully people have been signed up and getting our emails. We've done our best to really communicate with our constituents about the issues that people are facing, everything from evictions to unemployment insurance problems, where to get free food and diapers, just basic issues that people are facing during this pandemic and need the resources to reach out to. I'm really happy with our constituent services this year. We've been able to help close to 4,000 constituents get their unemployment insurance. This is huge because, of course, you have to have money to spend money. And we know all the problems that we've been facing with EDD. Our district office has been singularly focused on ensuring that we really can take care of our constituents and really be that conduit for state government in any way possible, and some other people's as well. And then we try to continue to do what we've always done. We had our turkey distribution a little bit earlier. We usually do it like next week, but we did it for Halloween because we wanted to celebrate to have a little celebration and give some stuff out for kids as well. We provided hundreds of turkeys for families throughout the community, as well as working with the food bank and feeding San Diego. We were able to do produce boxes. We worked with San Ysidro Health and distributed feminine hygiene products, and we did diapers as well through the food bank. So that was a great, I mean, we're to that point where really just the small things that we can do for the community really do matter the most. And then next month, we're going to have our annual Diaper Drive. A lot of you know that I've been working on diaper need issues for a long time. We have been successful, of course, in eliminating the diaper tax, at least through 2023. We're going to continue to try to expand that. We have now provided over $25 million for diaper banks throughout the state to ensure that people who don't have the funds can at least have opportunity to have their kids be diapered properly. And every year we do a diaper drive. Many of you have come for our holiday celebration. And this year, we're gonna do it at Chiquita's Mexican restaurant. Of course, can't be open, unfortunately. But we're gonna do a drive-through and try to provide people with a to-go item as well if they drop off diapers. So we'll get that out to everybody as well, and hope you can join us for that. So that's kind of what we've been up to. It's a wide variety of things. Like I said, it wasn't a normal year. We're looking and developing legislation for next year, hopeful that it'll be more of a normal year. Some of the things we want to work on, or some of the things we're most concerned about, is the drastic learning loss that we've had by way of our students. And I say our students because our communities have been most affected by COVID. From everything from they have the highest cases of COVID, obviously, we've had the highest unemployment, and our children have been the most separated from their schools, to be honest, without the resources necessary to maintain the type of learning experience that they need. So what we don't want to happen is school just to come back. Well, we do want school to come back. Let me be really clear. That's a priority, and we've been pushing the governor on prioritizing school reopenings with really clear guidelines and safety procedures. But as they come back, we don't want them to come back and have lost a year and nobody think that's a big problem, right? If kids have gone to private school, if they've had the resource to have private tutors, they haven't lost a year. And our kids shouldn't be in a position where they're just made to accept that there was a lost year. And so we're looking at ways of increasing certain amounts in the budget for maybe some cohorts that can continue to work, even if we make it, when we make it out of COVID and things get to normal, how we continue to add additional resources to some of our kids who have just literally, I mean, for a lot of them, it's going to be missed a whole year, or gotten as the very little out of distance learning. So we'll be working on that in the coming year and some other great projects. But that's pretty much my little update. I know that you have some questions and I'd be happy to take them, and any you have.
Well, I'll lead off, Assemblywoman. We've been dealing with the pandemic for close to a year now. How do we ensure that South County businesses can sustain themselves through all this?
You know, one of the things that we want to do, obviously, is continue to work with a new federal government that hopefully will provide us some resources, because at the end of the day, that's what we're going to need, straight out cash to help people get back on their feet. The problems are so multi-level, right? I mean, I obviously get really concerned when I hear about tenants who are facing eviction, but I'm also concerned about the small landlords who aren't being paid as well and have problems paying their mortgage. We're concerned about the small businesses that can't operate, but also about the property owners and commercial spaces that are also not getting what they need. And if those businesses go away, obviously we've got a dearth of jobs and problems in the South Bay. We're also concerned because as we stopped stimulus payments to actual individuals, that means that they can't do things like visit our restaurants and continue to purchase things, right? We actually need that money to recirculate into the economy to keep those businesses, even if they're not doing as well, to doing okay. So we're putting a lot of faith and hope, I think, in this federal government, this new federal government, that will be able to provide some direct basically assistance to people, to businesses, and make sure that we can keep things back on their feet. We're going to have to really see, it's devastating what has happened, but it's not all the shutdowns. And I think this is really important for us to consider, because as things open back up, when we actually have access to a vaccine, we have to recognize that some of the stagnation in the economy has to do with people's personal choices. You could open up everything right now, and most people aren't going to go. I mean, there's not a confidence to want to go out in public. We don't know when that will come back. And it's important to remember that, not just say, well, closing down the business is hurt. Yes, but it's hurt because there's also a lack of confidence in being able to be out in public. And we've got to tackle this virus to get rid of that. I think about my hotel workers, and we have one of the reasons we have the highest unemployment rates in the county, and in some ways in the state, is because so many of our workers are tied to the tourism industry. Right. And so we have so many service workers and so many workers tied to the tourism industry. And so when our hotels shut down, when our restaurants shut down, when our conventions shut down, that's really affecting a lot of families in the South Bay. Now, the hotels open back up. I know a lot of people don't realize that they actually are operational, but if nobody's willing to come, they're still on a very small staff, right? So it's not just the shutting down of businesses that we need to do to control this virus. It's the fact that we have to have some confidence, and people need to start spending money again to get those jobs going again. So we have a long road ahead of us. I don't want to play it down at all. It's been devastating for so many families, and not just the people who are unemployed and the businesses going out of business right now, but let's talk about the abundance of essential workers we also have in this area. So we have a number of workers who have continued to work through this crisis at our health centers, at our grocery stores, continuing to do really hard work and exposing themselves to the virus. And that's one of the reasons we have some of the highest cases. We do have the highest cases in the county. And so it's like devastation on all sides, and things that we're going to have to tackle with for quite a few years. And I think we're going to have to spend money, and the government's going to have to spend money to help everybody get back on their feet.
Well, thank you very much. Do you have any more time for us? I know that you may have to get on to something soon.
But I also don't want to go into my supervisor-elect's time period. I'm really excited on your next speaker. I do understand it's Nora Vargas, who I have great respect for, and I'm so excited. She's going to be she's not personally my supervisor, as my husband, but she's my supervisor for the district. For most.
You have two. How's that?
I do have two. I do have two. So, and unlike our previous supervisor, who I love, but I don't think I'll be, I don't think I'll, well, more.
All righty. Well.
And I love him. I will miss him. We have a great relationship, but during the pandemic, I think there was a point where my husband was sick of hearing about the problems in our community in Chula Vista and National City and San Ysidro, because I kept being like, what are you doing? And he's like, I get it. We live together, but my district is all of this. Why don't you call Greg? And I did. And he'll admit, I called him. I was so out of my mind because of all what was going on and what I feel like is not enough attention. And I threatened to picket his house, but I wasn't serious. I left on a message, and I had to pull that back. So Nora, I probably won't threaten to picket your house anytime soon. So.
Well, who could ask for a better introduction than that?
I love her. I love her. I'm so excited. How is it doing?
With that, I am pleased to introduce Supervisor-elect Norma Vargas, who will be the first Latina to ever serve on the San Diego Board of Supervisors. Whoever thought it would take this long, but who could have ever found a better person to fill that role? Besting a sitting state senator by an impressive 56.4% to 43% margin, and amassing over 129,000 votes is indeed an impressive accomplishment for one of the county's rising stars. For those who know Nora, however, this came as no surprise. Honored by Assemblywoman Gonzalez in 2018 as a Woman of the Year, she is hardworking and never missed an event or an opportunity to plead her case to the electorate. Nora has a background ideally suited to take on the challenges of the pandemic. At Planned Parenthood, she and her team worked to increase access to safe, quality health care and education for families across California. In addition to serving as an executive at Planned Parenthood, she has also served on the board of Southwestern College since 2013, and where she also served as the board president and also earned her bachelor's and master's degree. A resident of Chula Vista, a product of our public schools, Nora has spent her career working to remove barriers for the underprivileged communities through civic engagement, public policy, and community organizing. I am absolutely pleased to introduce Supervisor-elect Nora Vargas.
Hello, everyone. I wish I could see you all in person. I mean, like be with you all in person and hug everyone, because I am so grateful for this opportunity to serve. I had a conversation with Supervisor Greg Cox. He's been fantastic in helping this transition and helping us, keep moving the district forward. And I said to him, I have big shoes to fill, but I have to say that I'm really grateful for all of you. So many of you were so supportive of my race, and I've had the honor and opportunity to work with so many of you for so many years. And I will tell you that this is kind of full circle. When I worked for the local congressman, this is one of the organizations that I used to staff as a former staff member. And so back when Doug was the executive director, so South County EDC is an organization that's near and dear to my heart, and that I have seen grow and develop to the great work and the impact that it has in the community. And so I'm excited to be here with all of you. I am happy to answer questions, but let me just tell you a little bit about where we're at right now. Grateful for the introduction and for my assembly member who I love and adore. And I also see Mayor Mary Salas here as well, who I'm so excited to be thank her for her support, but I'm also very excited about working with her as we're moving our communities forward. And so many folks from the community, the health centers and our nonprofits as well. So I'm just happy to be here with all of you. When I ran for this seat, I ran, it's been a culmination of 2 years of really a lot of work on the campaign trail. I really decided to run, and I think most of you have heard me say this, but I wanted to really address the issues around health and education and disparities in our communities with housing and food insecurities. And, sharing that vision with the community in District 1 has been truly my honor for the last 2 years. And people understood that we needed someone who was going to be able to hit the ground running on day one. And I am, truly honored and grateful to have that opportunity. I have had a lot of people ask me so what's happening now? And I will tell you, like I said, Supervisor Greg Cox has been fantastic, and we've had a couple of conversations already. I went and met with him and his team, and so we've started the transition. Right now, I am accepting applications for folks who are interested in filling some of these roles. I have to tell you that I'm overwhelmed. I've been an executive for about 25 years, right, at Planned Parenthood. But the amount of people who are applying for I think we have about 35 applications already for people who want jobs. And I think I don't have that many, but I'm doing my best to try to go through them with my team to make sure we have a solid team. And what I'm committed to doing is making sure that, we have always a lot of transparency and accountability, but more importantly, a team that's going to be supportive and be there for the community, because I think that Supervisor Cox did that well, and I want to make sure we take it to the next level and make sure that all of you have access to District 1 and know that you can count on me to follow up. A couple of the issues that I've been working on, I actually have a briefing tomorrow around COVID, and I should also mention that Supervisor Nathan Fletcher has been fantastic. We have met, we've talked about different opportunities, about how we're going to work together and strengthen the county. I have my conversation with Supervisor-elect Tara Lawson-Remer coming up. But also, I think what I have to make sure that I remind folks that this is a nonpartisan seat, and as much as I'm a really proud Democrat, and we're going to have 3 Democrats on the seat, I am really a person who represents the South Bay. So I'm really proud to represent everyone in the South Bay, Democrats, Republicans, and independents. And, I met a couple of people who say, I didn't vote for you, but I'm looking forward to you doing great work. And I say, well, I'm going to represent every person in my district, because that's what governance is about. And what you should know about me is that I will never blindside you. I will be very honest with you about where I'm coming from. My door will be open for everyone, and I want to make sure that that you know that you can come and share your perspective and opportunities with me, and then we'll agree to disagree on some things, and then we'll find common ground on a lot of other things to make sure that we're moving forward. I will make sure that we have a team member that is joining the South County EDC. I want to make sure that we're partners in this process, that I continue to get engaged. COVID is going to be the most important issue that we're going to continue to face as a county. I think all of you know, right? This is something that is going to be the first part of the work that we're going to continue to do. And so I am already hitting the ground running with that. Mitigating the impacts of COVID is absolutely my priority. I think Lorena mentioned it before, the Assembly member mentioned it before. Our communities have been disproportionately impacted, and so I am going to make sure that we're continuing that work. I will say that I'm really, really proud that after the primary, I was part of a wonderful group of folks, including some of them are here. Anna from San Isidro Health Center, Kathy is here from SBCCS, and some other folks that I see here were part of us doing, coming together to put together a roundtable to address the issues of COVID-19 and how our communities were being impacted and what we can do. And they came up with, they did a survey, had information. So I'm using a lot of this data that is already out there to make sure that we're going to be using that as a tool as we're moving forward to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the residents of District 1. I have been on a couple of news shows and people have been asking me to speak. And what I keep saying to folks is, public health should never be politicized. When we're talking about public health, we really need to make sure that people are doing well and they're healthy, because in the end, what we want is to make sure that our communities are able to get back into their routines. And obviously, we're going to fight for them to have a better quality of life, because the inequities in District 1 have been real for many years. And so we have to first mitigate COVID, but at the same time, we really have to reimagine what it looks like for us in District 1, because a lot of the folks in our communities were already suffering. And so I'm committed to doing that, and I'm committed to doing that with my strong partners. I'm really looking forward to, as a matter of fact, I said, don't forget, I already had reached out to Mayor Salas, but I want to be meeting with our mayors throughout the cities and the different organizations to make sure that we have a strong agenda moving forward. I keep sharing with everyone that for me, it really is this bigger initiative about families first and what that looks like, because if our communities are not healthy, if our folks don't have what they need, it's hard to talk about, small business development, about developing the, what are we going to do next with OTI? What are we going to do with all these other different areas and the economic engine of our community? Workforce development is going to be key. I have been looking at different appointments and what that's going to look like. But I think as we're reimagining, a lot of folks were furloughed. What does that look like? How do we partner with Southwestern College, which is near and dear to my heart, to make sure that people get the retraining that they need to be able to get back on their feet. And so those are some of the things that I'm going to be working on. But really, I want to make sure that mitigating the impact of the pandemic, economic recovery will be a priority, and all of this from a lens of equity and inclusivity in the county, because to me, that's really important. I have some really specific ideas about partnerships with counties and schools. Obviously, prioritizing the testing for COVID. We are going to address the issue of the Tijuana River, Valley. That's going to be a big issue. I am going to make sure that that becomes a priority for the county as well, because it impacts all of us, and this is a really big healthcare issue. And I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues and, to address some of the major issues impacting our community. And I'm excited. I'm happy to answer any questions if you like. There's, like I said, my first day will be officially, I get sworn in on January 4th at noon. I will keep you all posted. The clerk is still trying to figure out the details. January 5th is more of the first meeting that we'll have, but I'm spending my time between now and January 1st in, finalizing my team, meeting with folks, getting a lot of briefings. And for all of you who have never worked with me, you should know that I'm a policy geek. I come from the world of legislation and briefings and all that good stuff. So I'm super excited about budgets. And everybody's like, what? And I'm like, that's like my favorite part. And so I am really looking forward to that. I will add, so that you all know, because there is a lot of transition happening at Southwestern College, I am not leaving my seat until December 31st, I think. And the reason for that is because we are in the presidential search at the moment. And so I should just give you a 2-second briefing so that you know, because like I said to you, I went to Southwestern College. This is my hometown. This is my community. And I love the college. And I'm really lucky that we were able to hire Dr. Murillo. And I don't know if she's on this call, but, the college has been through a lot. And we, have always put our students first. And especially during COVID, it's been a really tough transition for so many, including our employees and our faculty. And so there are going to be 2 vacant positions at Southwestern College. Now, Trustee Nader has now become a judge, and so he's also going to be leaving. So my colleagues are going to have some tough decisions to make, and they're going to be appointing 2 folks coming up in January, right, for those seats. And then Dr. Murillo retiring. So there's a lot of change happening in Southwestern College. Be nice to them, please. Please support them and work with them, because there's so much happening. But I will say that our selection process, and I'm chairing the selection process for the next superintendent president, and that selection process ends, I think the applications close on Thursday. So far, we have about 35 folks who have applied from all over the nation and also the state. And I should say that I think that's a big reflection of not only the power of the college, but the power of who we are and where we are in this region, which I think is very, very unique. And we need to continue to emphasize that power to everyone around us. And so anyway, I'm super excited about the work that's happening. I failed to mention, but I will highlight to all of you that I am doing a lot. And I think, this was mentioned before, but, being the first Latina on the Board of Supervisors, yes, it's very historic, and I'm the first immigrant as well. And so I bring with me a very unique experience as a binational person. I was born in Tijuana and raised on both sides of the border. And so for me, the power of this binational region is extremely important. And I look forward to working with all of you as we advance who we are and the power that we are, the economic engine that we are, and all the great things that we're going to be doing. So count on me having a team that's ready to do that. I have to tell you, I've had a lot of, I'm speaking at a lot of different things, right now in Tijuana particularly. They're excited about the fact that somebody from the community is in this role. But I just wanted to say that I'm excited, I'm thrilled. I'm ready to hit the ground running. Apparently I have to wait for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but after that, I can start working. So we're already doing a lot. And I think I do have an email, and I'll put it up here before I forget, where if you're wanting to request a meeting or briefings or anything like that, you can go ahead and reach out. I will come to you to ask to help me, because I do want to make sure that we have representation on our boards and commissions at the County of San Diego. And a lot of those seats are going to be opening up pretty soon. And so if anybody's interested, we want to make sure that we have a diversified pool of folks who are, representing us. Those voices really matter. And so if you're interested, feel free to reach out. We're gonna have a whole process to make sure that we're helping and supporting all of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Supervisor-elect. While people are thinking of their questions, I'll lead off, and then hopefully we'll have people join in. You acknowledged your gratitude to Supervisor Cox and his help during the transition. Yet the Board of Supervisors is going to look a little bit different with 3 Democrats on the supervisor's role. And what can we expect, and how might we expect your focus to be different than the esteemed colleague that you're going to replace?
I think, I think any other election cycle, the conversation would be a little bit different, because it really is about addressing the healthcare disparities in our communities. But I think right now more than ever, especially with COVID, and I think, Assemblywoman Gonzalez mentioned this, we're going to have a great opportunity. And I've already talked to some of the Biden folks about, some of the issues impacting our community, including the Tijuana River Valley and what that looks like. But climate action is going to be a big issue. Healthcare is absolutely going to be, public healthcare has to be a big issue. Issues around food insecurity. I think Supervisor Cox has done a great job in laying the foundation for a lot of other things. But for me, we really need to make sure that people are okay, and COVID has impacted us more than anyone else. And so we cannot, I want to make sure that I work with our local safety nets so that they have the resources that they need to be able to continue to do the work. They're the ones on the front lines. Monica, I see Monica Montano here, and I see, some of the other folks from the clinics. They've been on the front lines, and whatever I can do to continue to elevate that work and policy decisions at the state level and federal level is going to be important. I think I was really grateful to the conversation that I had with with Mayor Salas about the resources being distributed based on need and not on population, because that would have impacted the community completely different. And the need is so great in National City and in Chula Vista and San Isidro. And so I think I have a very different perspective as English is my second language. So I see the world also from a different lens in terms of making sure that the county is accessible to all. There's a lot of disparities in terms of language. We had some challenges at the beginning with the county having information in language for the different communities that we serve. And so I'm committed to making sure that that's available. I think they've done some great work already on it, but I think there's more to be done. And so, my experiences are different. And so I see the world from a different lens, and I'm excited about what that's going to look like.
Well, who would like to step in and has a question for Nora? Go ahead and speak up, because I'm not seeing any in the chat room. Kevin, go ahead.
I will, John. Nora, Kevin Marshall, president of CopyLink. We have a lot in common because English was my second language, but first was Bostonian.
Oh, wow.
But I got 9 sisters. I know everyone wants to know what you're going to do for them in the new role. But what can us business owners do for you to support you, especially in your first 90 days of hitting the road running?
Well, thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. I would say, tell me what you need. And I know that's a really broad question, but I think, it's having those conversations and those meet and greets. I know that I'm going to be meeting with the folks in the Chula Vista Chamber soon and some other folks, but I would love to hear from South County EDC is how do I serve you best? I think that's important. And know that you have, like I said, an open door policy with me so we can move forward. I've heard throughout the campaign trail, I heard a lot from small businesses about what the impact of COVID was to them. And I'm talking about from hair salons, nail salons, to folks who are providing other type of services, restaurants, et cetera. And so I think thinking about what that looks like as we're going to be fighting for funding at the federal level, what is it that you need from me so that I can make sure that I am your champion at that level and getting those recommendations. So if people have those policy and recommendations or ideas, I think it's really helpful for me, because that way we can hit the ground running. Thank you for asking.
Anybody else have some questions for the supervisor-elect? Well, while you're thinking of them, I see Kathy. Is that a raised hand or adjusting the microphone? Okay, unmute yourself, Kathy. You're on mute.
And also,
it's not a question.
This is Dominique from, go ahead.
Oh, okay. It's not so much a question as a comment. Nora referred to working with a lot of the health clinics and nonprofits. While she was running this campaign and so busy, she helped us really think through how we meet needs in the community, helped us so much with the survey, took a leadership role in bringing us together. So she's incredible, and she's a really hard worker. I mean, there were nights we were on the phone together and on Zoom together, and she just really just jumped in with us as if she was working for every nonprofit in the South Bay. So I just think you need to take credit for it. Finally, you can take credit for it, Nora.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
Thank you. I have a question. Someone asked, what is your solution for the displaced populations? I think we're talking about homeless, probably.
Okay, so I don't know that there's one solution. I would say that there is a regional approach to this, you know, to the issue. I'm actually getting briefed by the regional, there's a consortium, right? And so I'm going to be working with them pretty soon. Meeting with them, I've heard different perspectives or solutions to the problem, which includes making sure that people have access to resources. I've seen some models that I really appreciate. So for instance, I really like the combination of private public partnership for the San Isidro Center that got created. And I don't know how many of you have had the chance to visit that development, where you actually had, I think San Isidro Health Center is actually providing resources there. I think South County Health-Based Services is also providing services there. So I think there's not one solution. I think there's different models that we can take a look at to make sure that we keep people off the streets. I think COVID has really impacted a lot of folks in our community, especially, and I think, you know, Lorena mentioned this, not just the people who are renting, but the people who own some of these properties, especially in District 1. Many of the folks who own their properties are not these big conglomerates that people are talking about. It's really folks like my uncles, you know, who save their money. They used to be construction workers, save their money. They're renting their home. I mean, you know, so it's a second income that they were having for retirement. And so I think we have to look at this from a very comprehensive perspective to be able to address some of the needs. There's still a lot of conversation about the impact of what's happening with the convention center. We still have a lot of kids who are sleeping, you know, in their cars. And so I'm really trying to tackle this issue, you know, head on, and trying to figure out how we do this. Just talking to some folks about the hotel voucher issue, and, you know, some of that, they're band-aids to a bigger issue that we have to address. And so I think that, you know, in partnership with the nonprofit organizations that are doing this work on the ground already, and the cities that are doing well as well, continue to partner with them to move forward and to figure out how we get additional resources for the work that needs to happen.
Thank you.
And this is Dominique.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. This is Dominique with Verizon, and I just wanted to let Nora and Lorena, if she's still on, know that, Nora, you brought up something that most people don't think that the telecom industry would care about, but I just wanted to let you know that Verizon is actually interested in partnering with local communities on the environmental mission, and we would love to work with Lorena and Serge and yourself and Mayor Salas and Alejandra to work on the Tijuana River estuary pollution issue, because we actually care about that. So we'll let you get sworn in and get on the ground, and then we'd love to talk to you about how Verizon can help you with that, the whole South Bay community, because we actually care.
Fantastic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the email. It's supalevargas@noravargas.com, so that everything's going to one email right now. And then we're triaging to make sure that I'm following up with meetings and schedules. But including resumes, people can send them there. And I'm happy to connect with you after.
Sounds great.
I don't have so much a question as I just have a appreciation. I think, and this goes for Assemblywoman Gonzalez Fletcher, I think public service is very underrated, and I really appreciate, Nora, you know, we've all worked together. You've been a part of South County EDC for a long time, and I think it's great that you're taking that next step to continue just your trajectory and give back to the community. And I know it's not going to be glamorous or, you know, easy by no means, but the fact that you're dedicating your expertise, your experience, and your just altruism to make the South County a thriving region, I really appreciate you for doing that, as well as the families that we serve here. And I've already enjoyed working on this nonprofit cohort that you strategically put together, and just continue to align resources and leverage the community tools that we have here in the county.
Thank you.
For those of you who are interested, the supervisor-elect did put her email in the chat room and a phone number. So if you're interested in applying for a job or to be on a board or commission,
don't know.
Those would be the places to contact her. And Supervisor, if you would like, you could also post on South County EDC websites what positions are available, both for appointments and for paid positions. And we'd be happy to put that on our website for you and get the word out as well.
So apparently the thank you letter that I just approved also got clicked on there because I was doing cut and paste. So if you gave me money or supported me, you're going to get that thank you letter somehow because I had approved it before I got on here. But anyway, so you can reach me at Super like Nora Vargas, and then my cell phone number is on there. Most people already have it, but you should have that already.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Somebody,
Anybody else would like to chime
I
in?
would like to, I have a comment, John, if I can.
Absolutely.
Hi, this is Patty Alvarez from Televisa Channel 12, Nora, and I want to congratulate you and tell you that it's truly an honor to have a Hispanic woman with your background being the first supervisor of us, and congratulations. And on behalf of Televisa, I would like to tell you that whatever you need from us, that covers both markets, because I know you know the Tijuana market and we are one region. Anything that you need, please count on us. And I'll be in touch with you later on, but whatever you can think of, please think of us as a regional media as well.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I went to, I've done a couple of the interviews already, and I really appreciate being able to be able to share information with the community and be available and accessible. And I think, you know, especially with everything that's been going on, you know, and the divisions in politics, I keep telling people, you know, we have to figure out a way to unite and really begin to move forward as our nation is changing powers at the federal level, right? And I think there's so much power in this binational community, and I think for me, having, you know, I have had the privilege of being a product of what it means to be completely binational and bicultural. I want more people to know that, and I want more people to know how powerful this region is and who we are. And you know, Alejandra has been doing this work for years, and people have been trailblazers. And I tell people, like, you know, well, I don't know how many of you remember this or not, but you know, I was the staffer for Filner when we opened up the Century that nobody actually thought it was the right thing to do. And you know, it was like, all these drug addicts are going to come over. Remember, I don't know if you all remember that. That was even before Trump, right? Or you know, the challenges with, we'll never have an airport where we can actually share space. And there was a lot of negativity about what we could do as a community. And so for me, I've seen the love and dedication that so many of you have given to the region for so many years, that I want to be able to continue to help in any way I can to propel it to the next level, because there is power in this region like nobody knows. And our community is so strong, and you know, they persevere against all odds, and so whatever I can do to help, I'm lucky and excited to be able to do that.
Thank you, Nora. Congratulations again.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. We're getting close to 5 o'clock. I know that this will be the first year that anybody can remember that there won't be a large gathering for a swearing-in ceremony that I know many people would like to attend. Have you heard about any plans for the swearing-in, and how your supporters and congratulators will be able to maybe virtually attend your swearing-in?
So I spoke to the clerk of the county, and I said, I don't think you understand. I'm Mexican American. Like, everybody wants to come to all my family, like people from LA, everywhere, like, you know, my Tijuana people. I said, so like, there's so many of us. And it's like, he's like, so they're trying to figure out the Zoom thing to see if that's what they can do. We were, you know, there's a couple of different ideas, and I'm joking about the cultural thing, but it's really true. I mean, I have a lot of uncles and cousins and everybody who wants to come and be there. So, and friends. And so I know I want mariachi, Southwestern College mariachi. I would love to have them, but yeah, so I will keep you posted. I know it's January 4th as of now, and they're going to do only swearing in on that day. It's supposed to be at noon. but I'm happy to, I'll share with all of you what we end up doing as we're doing this. If anything, we're getting really good at Zoom. So if anything, it'll be maybe hopefully a Zoom or something so we can figure everything out. But thank you.
Well, we would all be delighted to attend, even if it's by Zoom and virtual. And again, congratulations.
Thank
A
you.
very, very impressive win. And we're all very proud of you. For those of us who live in Chula Vista, to have one of Chula Vista's own occupying the seat and keeping it in the family, very much appreciated.
Thank you so much. All right, well, have a great rest of the evening. I'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you again very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.